Peekaboo. The Peekaboo guard positions both forearms vertically in front of the face, with gloves close to the cheeks and elbows tucked against the ribs. Developed by Cus D'Amato, it emphasizes three key elements: an impenetrable barrier, rapid counters, and forward pressure. First, the barrier. By keeping the gloves high and elbows in, you create a miniature fortress around your head and torso. Incoming jabs and straights crash into your gloves or forearms, neutralizing power before it reaches your chin. That tight shell forces opponents to overcommit or loop punches wide, opening them up. Second, the counters. Peekaboo isn't passive. Every block is a springboard. As you slip or roll under a punch, you explode off your back foot, firing compact uppercuts and hooks. Because your hands start so close to your cheeks, your punches travel minimal distance, delivering maximal speed and surprise. Third, the pressure. Fighters in Peekaboo don't wait, they stalk. Constant head movement and forward footwork eat up space, cutting off against the ropes, forced to throw through your guard and punished by your tight counters. Mike Tyson is the archetype. Lean, muscular, and always stalking. He turned Peekaboo into a knockout machine, unloading short, brutal combinations from any submissive shell. Philly shell. The Philly shell guard rotates the boxer's torso away from an incoming jab and drapes the lead hand across the midsection, while the rear shoulder rises to shield the chin, creating a dynamic barrier that invites punches to glance harmlessly off the shoulder. As opponents launch power shots, subtle shoulder rolls and hip shifts steer blows harmlessly past the center line and set up lightning-quick backhand counters that exploit every opening. Floyd Mayweather Jr. perfected this style by gliding on the balls of his feet and rotating his upper body so fluidly that opponents often found themselves swinging at air before the counter arrived. Mastering the Philly shell requires rock-solid balance and core strength, because one mistimed lean or a dropped lead hand can leave the midsection open to a crushing body shot. Cross guard. The cross arm guard folds both forearms across the center line, one arm resting atop the other, to form a sturdy barrier over the head and torso. By stacking your arms tightly together, you block straight punches and multi-shot combinations at mid-range, turning each strike into a harmless glancing blow against your forearms or gloves. This compact shell works especially well in close quarters, allowing you to absorb flurries without exposing the chin, then counterpunch instantly as your opponent resets. Despite its strength against headshots, the cross-arm guard leaves the ribs and midsection more vulnerable, demanding that you bend at the waist and weave to protect your body from hooks. Originating in bare-knuckle boxing and later adopted by champions like Joe Frazier, George Foreman, and Archie Moore, this style trades offensive mobility for nearly impenetrable defense, turning a storm of punches into an opportunity to trap opponents inside your guard and fire back with punishing counters. Low guard. The low guard drops both fists to waist or mid-torso level, deliberately sacrificing immediate hand protection to bait opponents into overextending punches and create sharper counterpunch opportunities. With the hands held low, fighters must rely on continuous head movement, slipping, weaving, and rolling to evade straight shots and hooks, then explode back into range with uppercuts or overhand rights before the attacker can recover. Footwork underpins the low guard's effectiveness. By circling off the line of attack and using quick pivots, the boxer reshapes angles, lures jabs into the midsection, and snaps back around the opponent's blind side. Because the guard leaves the chin and ribs exposed, practitioners develop exceptional core strength and reflexes, learning to anticipate and read their opponent's rhythm to time evasions perfectly. Fighters like Roy Jones Jr. and Floyd Mayweather Jr. have demonstrated how the low guard can transform perceived vulnerability into a tactical advantage, turning the simplest feint into a devastating counterattack that catches opponents off balance and hesitant to commit. High guard. The high guard places both fists at eyebrow level, with elbows tucked tightly against the ribs, forming a passive shield that makes straight punches and uppercuts glance off your forearms and gloves. Fighters using this guard dive behind a fortress of bent arms, trading some peripheral vision for the ability to absorb heavy shots to the head while remaining ready to counter. By keeping the shoulders raised to protect the jaw and locking the forearms together, the high guard blocks hooks to the temple and chin, but it leaves the midsection exposed and can slow down your own counterpunch timing. Effective high guard users balance their stance with constant head movement and measured footwork, stepping offline or pivoting when an opponent tries to attack the body. This guard excels when weathering throwing power punches. Fighters like Winky Wright built careers on its rock-solid defense, yet it demands high defensive specificity, as mistimed blocks or poor vision can lead to clean shots landing. Conditioning plays a vital role. Maintaining the high guard over multiple rounds tests shoulder endurance and core strength, and practitioners must shift seamlessly between defense and counterattack, baiting opponents to strike only to meet a tight block and a swift reply. The high guard's true strength lies in its simplicity and reliability. By mastering forearm positioning and shoulder alignment, a boxer can turn an incoming flurry into an opening for a decisive counterpunch. Fighters who excel here don't hesitate behind their guard. They use it as a springboard, punching off the passive blocks to land powerful jabs, hooks, or overhands before the attacker can recover. Long guard. The long guard relies on extending the lead arm fully toward an opponent, often at chest or shoulder height, while the rear hand remains tucked beside the jaw, creating a barrier that keeps most punches at bay before they reach striking distance. This stance gives taller fighters a constant measure of safety. Jabs and straight rights meet the outstretched glove instead of your head, forcing opponents to commit extra energy to close the gap or throw looping hooks. Effective use demands active footwork, circling to maintain that optimal distance and pivoting off angles so attackers can't simply step past your guard. One variation, the mummy guard, pushes both arms out straight with only slightly bent elbows and palms facing inward, tucking the chin and raising the shoulders for additional protection. It excels at smothering jabs and obscuring vision, midsection exposed when you retract your arms to strike. The classic long guard blends that extended lead arm with a traditional rear hand position by holding the back fist at a 90-degree angle near the face. This hybrid lets you control distance while keeping a power punch ready, though it still struggles against uppercuts that bypass the lead arm. The Dracula guard takes the classic long guard a step further by combining the extended lead arm with the rear hand, placed in a cross arm style, almost like a cape draped around the shoulders. The lead hand blocks vision, sets up, parries, and traps incoming hands, while the rear hand stays primed for overhand rights or hooks. It cleverly obscures your intentions and sets traps, but it slows down lead hand punches and signals your reach, making timing and feints critical to prevent opponents from slipping inside. Reverse cross guard. The reverse cross guard places the forearms one atop the other in front of the face, with the lead arm lying over the rear arm and the lead glove resting against the rear shoulder. The lead arm often sits across the abdomen, creating a layered shield that simultaneously covers head and body, while the rear shoulder and elbow tuck in tight to deflect incoming hooks and straights. Tilting the head toward the rear shoulder keeps your center line off axis and uses your shoulder as an additional block so punches glance away instead of landing squarely. From this position, you can parry or catch strikes with the palms, then spring your arms apart into sudden counters, uppercuts, or looping hooks, launched from the heel of your glove with minimal telegraph. This guard trades some mobility for near impenetrable defense at mid-range. Gene Fulmer made it famous in the 1950s, using heavy lead hand jabs from the heel of his glove to disrupt opponents before following up with crushing right hands from inside his own guard. Because both arms are stacked, vision can be obscured and body shots can sneak under your guard. So mastering this style demands fluid head movement, subtle foot pivots, and split-second timing to slip body hooks and reset your shell. When executed correctly, the reverse cross guard turns an opponent's offense into a series of glancing blows and opens pathways for devastating counters from a position they can't easily read. If you guys like these kinds of videos, subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be posting as often as possible. Thanks for watching, guys.